Solomon, while he sets up, is there a use case that you have published of, I know that you said this has been successful, but is there a distributed use case already published?
By the way, we were all on mute when you were speaking. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that question? I got the tail end of it when I
Yeah,
went
it's
off.
Kelly Hardy. I was curious if you are, if you have a published use case where you've taken a client through this, whether it's a POC that was successful or an engagement. Is there something out there published?
Well, not as public references, but yes, we have very large, couple of large clients with success stories that we can talk in general sense, without giving details about them because they're not public reference.
Okay,
but
perfect.
If anybody's interested, let me know and we can talk generals around them. There's one retail and one of the cruise liners.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, we do have success stories with people actually deploying very large application on it from WebSphere, that is. Okay.
How about now? And should I reduce the sound of my speaker?
No, you're fine.
Because I'm getting an echo. Okay. So hopefully you're able to hear me now. I'm just starting off creating a new OpenShift project. I'm calling it rehost WebSphere user 52. I'll go back to the instructions. Sorry. Let me go back. A second. Yeah, so this is my console URL, so I'll navigate to the console URL. Let me log in a different browser. Actually, give me a second. User 52. So now I'm logged into I'm into the web interface. All that I'll have to do is click on add in the top right, select this particular GitHub repo and select add from Docker file. So out here, this is the GitHub repo. One second. Just a second. Yeah, so OpenShift detects that this is basically a Docker-based build strategy, and there's a Docker file in place, and you can leave the application name as is. One change that you'll have to make is, given that WebSphere expects the port number to be 9080, just make sure that you create the target port as 9080. That's about it. Basically, this GitHub repo has the Docker file and everything in place. now you can go here. This has started build. If you see here, build is going on. What it does is, this is the base image of WebSphere TWAS 8.5 version. And then on all what's happening in the background is what's specified in this GitHub repo. So after this, some of these steps will be executed and so on. And right now, this probably will take a few minutes, probably 3 to 4 minutes. While that's going on, if there are any other questions around WebSphere in general, I can answer them, or I can talk a bit more about TWAS, I mean, Transformation Advisor and Data Collector and stuff like that. If you're interested, right, like Data Collector, basically the GitHub repo is generated using Transformation Advisor, and you download Data Collector for your specific environment, whether it's Windows or AIX or even I think ZOS and stuff like that. So it presents you options. Oh, I accidentally clicked it. It'll probably take a bit of time. So in here you have options of selecting the environment where you want to download the data collector, and or here you have the actual commands to run Transformation Advisor, and that's the one which will generate the actual GitHub repo and stuff like that. And make sure you select TWAS as the target environment, because that's the one which will ensure that there's no application code changes involved in. So yeah, once the build goes through, we'll have the application running. So still waiting for the build to complete. As you see over here, these steps are going on. So the deployment at this moment is just waiting for the build to complete, and it should be done in just a few minutes. Unlike Jared, I can't play any guitar, so you'll have to just keep waiting.
Hi, I have a question regarding the transformation advisor.
Sure.
So you said you don't need to make any code changes, right? So what does the transformation advisor do? Does it just create the Docker file, or?
Hey, are you able to hear me? Hello.
Yes.
So yeah, to answer your question, right? Let me go back to this particular GitHub repo. So this particular report that you're seeing, right, is obviously a simple, just one application, right? What Transformation Advisor does is you can point it to your entire WebSphere environment where there are probably multiple apps, tens or hundreds of apps running. And it reads your WebSphere environment, and not just the Docker file, everything that you see in this repo, right? Whether it's the pipelines or the Python scripts needed for setting up your WebSphere environment, because inside this, you'll be seeing the WebSphere environments configuration, right? Like you don't have to go to each of your WebSphere applications, existing virtual machines environments, and then figure out what exactly is needed and stuff like that. So Transformation Advisor does all those things for you, whether it's generating the pipelines or whether it's generating these other Python scripts or Docker file and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I want to show them how to this. how to look at the WebSphere logs, for example, from the OpenShift?
Yeah. So just waiting for the app to come up. It's still building. Once the build is done, the app will come up, and yeah, I'll quickly show. Yeah, it's so out here. What's going on in the background is it's copying the ER file and setting all those configuration in place. So one thing to note, like in some of the cases, I've seen in case you don't set this port 9080, right? In that case, basically WebSphere expects the app to be on port 9080. So your service port and target port need to be set that way. I've seen some of the workshop participants not do that, and so their application will not be accessible. And the other thing, what we have noticed is you need to use the HTTP URL. Like for this session, we have just not created this secure URL. You can do that very easily. All that you'll have to do is enable the TLS settings. So it's a quick thing, but right now the default one is the HTTP URL. So that's where the application will be available. So this is the image registry. It's pushing the application image there. So it says push successful. Hopefully it's built it. And out here you see a pod coming up. Yeah. So right now, if you access the application, right, although the route is available, I mean, it'll take a bit of time. So once the application is available, we can access it. Yeah, I mean, once this is done, actually, while this is going on, right, I can even quickly show you how to do the pipeline one as well in the workshop. That's pretty quick. That should be pretty quick. Let me go to the pipeline one. So I've cloned the pipeline repo. I'm in that one. It's creating a new project. Again, nothing new. So in here, you'll see a few YAMLs. I mean, in the interest of time, I'm not going through each of the YAMLs, but I suggest you go through this particular documentation page, the OpenShift pipelines one. You can select the appropriate version of OpenShift that you're using. And there are a few important things like basically understanding that each task runs as a pod, and once that is done, like out here as it says, each task runs as a pod, and once that is done, once your task is completed, it spins it down. And you can go through like what the task is and how it's different from a task run, and similarly pipeline and pipeline run and so on. So going back, right, I'll apply some of these YAML files. Again, these are auto-generated YAML files. You don't have to worry too much about creating them. So and I'm toggling between the WebSphere and the pipelines one, but let me quickly show you the pipeline one. I'll start the pipeline one. It involves creating this step, and so the pipeline one, as you see, it has a few stages. It clones the app repo, it builds the application, then it applies the manifest and it deploys the application for you. So this one, again, it's equal. This is the automated way, right? Like using CI/CD pipelines for building the same hit count application. So this should take a bit of time. While that's going on, I'll toggle back to the WebSphere rehost one. The application should now be available. So the pod is up. You have the route here. So I'll copy this link. And hit count is the path for accessing this application. So again, this is an old application, probably sometime in the early 2000s or so. Solomon can probably answer that, add more details around it. But yeah, I select the EJB method of execution, global namespace, and I'm selecting the commit as the transaction type. What you should see is basically there's a Derby database it's actually Java based database. So that was used some time ago. So it stores this particular increment counter. And if I do the same thing again, it should show you that it incremented it. And I can even go to a different browser. Let me copy this. This URL and go to a different browser. I'll select it. You see that the persistence, the session persistence is retained. The count is 3. So yeah, it all works fine. I'll now quickly go back to the pipeline one. Actually, that should be probably taking a bit of time. So the pipeline one, this is the status as of now, but in some time, probably in next 6 minutes or so, this should complete and be successful. You'll see that pipeline runs. This is the run. You even have the task runs underneath here. Again, pipelines, they get executed sequentially or serially. In future OpenShift pipelines, there'll be quite a lot of new features coming in. There'll be workflows where you can use a graph to build dependencies on how the tasks in a pipeline need to run and so on. So yeah. Yeah, that's all what I wanted to share. If there are any questions, I'm free to answer.